Hi friends, I'm Uma Shankar Pandey and this is the Dr. USP channel. Welcome to this very special video on an Indian communication model, the Ubiquitous Sphota Pratibha Model. In this model, we explore communication in a new radical way. Imagine communication that does not stop at words or sounds but goes into the real pulse of meaning itself, or it looks into the essence of the meaning itself. A spark that ignites insights. The Ubiquitous Sphota Pratibha Model discusses Sphota, which is the burst of meaning, Pratibha, which is intuition, and Rasa, which is emotional flavor. Communication involves going into these deep layers of meaning and connecting on a unique emotional level. Let us see the Ubiquitous Sphota Pratibha Model redefining communication in this video. The Ubiquitous Sphota Pratibha Model suggests that true understanding doesn't come from the words we speak. Instead, it's sparked by the essence that words release like a flash of insight. Vakyapadya is a seminal work by the 5th century Indian grammarian Bhartrhari focusing on the philosophy of language, meaning and cognition. Structured in 3 parts, this explores the nature of words and sentences through the concept of Sphota, the instant unified revelation of meaning that occurs when we understand language. Bhartrhari's work Vakyapadya develops the theory of Sphota, which asserts that comprehension is holistic and instantaneous rather than sequentially derived. In communication, Pratibha represents the creative and intuitive aspects of message construction and reception. This model contends that communication is an omnipresent process fueled by intuitive cognition and evoke emotional responses. The well-known theory of Rasa, developed by Bharat Muni in the Natya Shastra, explores the affective responses evoked in audiences. This contends that effective communication must engage the audience on an emotional level. The well-known Western communication models can roughly be divided into 4 different parts. The first is the transmission model. The transmission model sees communication as a one-way process where the sender delivers information to the receiver. Here the sender's goal is the transfer of meaning, aiming to ensure the receiver correctly understands the intended message. For the receiver, this involves cognitive processing, as they actively interpret and make sense of the information. In the expressive or ritual model, communication is less about transmitting information and more about performance. It focuses on shared experiences, with the sender engaging in expressive acts that reinforce community and identity. For the receiver, the emphasis is on the consummation and shared experience, where participation and emotional engagement create a collective bond. The publicity model centers on competitive display by the sender, who seeks attention from as many receivers as possible. Here the primary goal is not necessarily to transfer meaning or create a shared experience, but to capture and maintain the audience's attention. For this receiver, this model demands attention-giving spectatorship. In the reception model, the sender engages in preferential encoding, crafting messages with certain meanings or perspectives in mind. However, this model recognizes that receivers play an active role in differential decoding and constructing meaning. Each receiver interprets the message based on their individual context, background, and experiences, leading to multiple possible interpretations. Sphota is the idea that meaning comes to us in a sudden burst of understanding when we hear words or sounds. It's not just about the sounds themselves, but about the complete meaning that reveals itself all at once in the mind. In other words, Sphota is the flash of meaning that we grasp instantly beyond the individual words. This concept suggests that true understanding isn't built piece by piece but arrives as a complete insight. Sphota consists of two connected yet distinct parts, the sound dhwani and the meaning artha. While we can think of them separately, they are as inseparable as two sides of a coin, coming together to form a single whole. The external part dhwani is the sound we hear or the word we see. Unlike Western linguistic theories, which view sound and meaning as separate elements that combine to create understanding, Sphota suggests that sound and meaning are inherently fused. When we hear speech, we don't process individual sounds and then assemble meaning from them. Instead, Sphota represents a holistic burst of understanding. This means that when a word is spoken, its dhwani instantly reveals its artha, meaning, in a single unified flash of comprehension. Sphota is thus the whole that emerges directly in the listener's mind without needing to analyze or decode each sound. The theory of Sphota emphasizes that language operates at a deeper, more cohesive level where sound and meaning are inseparably intertwined. Pratibha is the inner spark or flash of creativity and intuition that lets someone grasp or express ideas effortlessly without conscious thought. It's that sudden brilliance or insight that writers, artists, and thinkers experience when they are inspired. In Indian philosophy, Pratibha is seen as a natural gift, allowing someone to go beyond ordinary thinking and create something unique. Rasa is the emotional essence or mood that any content, artwork, performance, or piece of literature brings to the audience. It's not just about making someone feel happy or sad, it's about creating a deep, immersive experience where the audience connects with the emotions on a profound level. For example, when watching a well-acted drama, the audience might feel rasa as they experience their characters' emotions intensely. We will be discussing for different modes of meaning: abhida, which is the direct meaning; lakshana, which is analogous to metaphors; and vyanjana or suggestion, which evokes rasa or the aesthetic experience. Abhida is the straightforward literal meaning of a word or phrase, the direct or primary sense in which something is commonly understood. In everyday language, this is the surface meaning we grasp immediately without needing interpretation or metaphor. Lakshana is the secondary or metaphorical meaning of a word or phrase, used when the literal meaning doesn't fit the context. It relies on an understanding that the speaker intends something different from the direct sense. Vyanjana refers to the suggestive or implied meaning that goes beyond the literal words. Unlike abhida, vyanjana taps into the deeper, hidden layers of meaning that the words evoke indirectly. For instance, if someone says he has a lion's heart, the implied meaning is bravery or courage. The three levels of speech: pashyanti, which is internal; madhyama, which is intermediate; and vaikhari, which is the expressed word or sound. Pashyanti vak is a subtle inner form of speech that occurs at the level of thought or pure idea before any words or sounds are formed. In this state, meaning is perceived directly in its essence without the need for language. Pashyanti is the seeing stage of thought. Madhyama vak is the intermediate stage of speech where thoughts begin to take form in the mind but have not yet been spoken aloud. It's the mental dialogue or inner speech that we experience when forming words or sentences in our minds. At the madhyama level, ideas are organized and words take shape internally, but they are still not expressed outwardly. Vaikhari vak is the external articulated speech that we hear and use in daily life. This is the final stage of speech where words are spoken out loud and can be heard by others. Vaikhari represents the fully formed audible expression of thought, making it accessible and understandable to listeners. It is the culmination of the speech process where ideas are transformed into spoken language. Cognition is a two-layered step, and it is formed of prakasha and vimarsha, as we'll see. Prakasha is the illuminating aspect of consciousness. It works like a light, revealing objects by clearing away darkness or ignorance. This illumination helps us become aware of things. However, just lighting up something isn't enough to fully know it, because it doesn't separate the object from everything around it. Vimarsha works with prakasha by adding a discerning function to consciousness. While prakasha lights things up, vimarsha is what lets us tell things apart and understand them. It's a part of consciousness that assigns meaning, helping us recognize each object's unique identity. Prakasha is like shining a light on a stage to make everything visible. Vimarsha is the ability to see each actor separately. Rasa Theory underscores that successful communication goes beyond information transmission to create emotional resonance, which enhance perception, interpretation, and retention. This universality of rasa taps into fundamental human emotions that transcend cultural boundaries. It consists of Shringara, which represents beauty, attraction, and affection. Hasya, laughter or humor, involves joy, amusement, and laughter. Raudra, anger or fury, which embodies anger, rage, and intensity. Karuna is compassion or sorrow, which conveys pathos, sadness, or empathy. Bibhatsa is disgust or aversion. This reflects disgust or repulsion. Bhayanak is fear or terror. This invokes fear, suspense, or horror. Veera, this rasa represents bravery, confidence, and valor. Adbhut is wonder or amazement. This rasa captures a sense of awe, curiosity, or surprise. And Shanta, this signifies calmness, serenity, and spiritual contentment. So this model comprises of 6 interconnected elements, as we can see here. The first is intuition, which is Pashyanti and Pratibha. The second is articulation, which consists of Madhyama and Vaikhari. We've spoken of Sphota, so it's Sphota, which consists of Dhvani and Artha. There's Prakash and Vimarsha, which constitutes cognition. There's the different levels of meaning, Abhidha, Lakshana, and Vyanjana. And then we have the affect, Rasa, which is the emotion or the affect. Now each element is vital to the creation, conveyance, and interpretation of meaning. Communication commences with this part, intuition. Pashyanti, as we know, refers to the innermost level of speech, where the ideas originate within the speaker's consciousness. And we know of Pratibha as the intuitive spark that initiates meaning making. Now this leads to the Madhyama and the Vaikhari, the articulation stage. The Madhyama is the intermediate state, as we've seen earlier. It refers to the mental formulation of speech, while Vaikhari pertains to manifested sound, the word that I'm speaking, for example, right now. And this leads to the Dhvani and Artha, Dhvani on earth, which is the Sphota stage. And Sphota is the fundamental linguistic unit, as we've seen earlier. We are dividing, or we are showing it as Dhvani and Artha, but basically it's one, two sides of the same coin. So this is where the meaning is grasped as a sudden revelation, transcending the linearity of spoken words, similar to a blooming of flowers. Once, for example, the actor B receives this, or this actor goes through this process of cognition, or Prakash and Vimarsha. We know Prakash is the immediate recognition and awareness, and Vimarsha involves deeper analysis and internalization. The ultimate emotional realization, as we know, is the aesthetic experience or the emotional responses evoked in the second person, the actor B. Now this sequential transition from Abhidha to Lakshana to Vyanjana causes this rasa to be experienced. Rasa emerges as the emotional core of communication. Now we've recognized these 3 levels of meanings, and this continues circularly, as we can see. So it begins with intuition, leads to articulation, finally it's passed on as Sphota, which through cognition will lead to another set of intuition in the actor B, and it will at the same time differing on these three levels that actor B invokes will lead to this emotional enjoyment. This cyclical nature of communication is reciprocal, as we can see here. So this reflects the dynamic and reciprocal nature of communication, and it addresses cultural and contextual influences in communication. Thanks for staying along, friends. As always, it was a delight having you here. I'll be back with another video very soon. Till then, have a great time.